Great. Welcome to the third session, everyone. The last two sessions, we spent our time on data cleaning and data modeling and data preparation in Power Query and then modeling in Power BI. We understood a few theoretical concepts around that as well. Today and tomorrow, the focus is going to be on data visualization specifically. So before we get started, I'll just run you through a few notes and then we'll start working on the file. Okay, the file that you have to download is Global Superstore Orders. It is there in the same folder for your reference. Now, some advantages of working with Power BI as a tool compared to any other tool are that its integration within the Microsoft ecosystem is very seamless. For example, if I have some data in Power BI, I can, if I am logged in using the same organizational account, I can load that data directly into Excel as well. Right? Just give me 1 second, guys. Getting a phone call. Just 1 second. Hi, sorry about that. Okay, I hope I've let everyone in and there's no one in the waiting room. Yes. Perfect. Yeah. So like I was saying, I can load a data or table from Power BI into Excel as well. And this was not available earlier. I think last year के update में आया था. This year के I'm not sure exactly. But a lot of times clients have a lot of questions around कि हम Power BI में बनाते हैं but हमें PowerPoint में दिखाना होता है. तो Microsoft had taken that feedback from customers and integrated that as well. So in PowerPoint, you have a Power BI button where if your visual is pasted or posted on the cloud, which is Power BI service, आप उसका link डालोगे and it will act like an interactive visual inside your PowerPoint. Earlier the process was कि आप static images या PDF लेके या screenshot लेके add करते थे. Now it comes as a dynamic visual. ठीक है, तो पोस्ट करने के बाद आपको बस लिंक कॉपी करना होता है, and once you copy the link, it works as a dynamic visual or dynamic dashboard inside PowerPoint as well. ठीक है, इस तरीके से you can get your entire dashboard inside PowerPoint. Dashboard is dynamic, everything works perfectly. Okay. Power BI का steps though is okay. I hope all of you have enabled the preview features, because for some map, for example, the map visualization, we need to enable this preview features and some slicers and other visuals also. So I hope you have done this step, right? In case not, please let me know. I'll just guide you. But आपको options and settings में जाके preview features में जाके सारे options को enable करना था, और security में जाके use map and fill map visual को check करना था. I hope you've done those two things. Okay. Now let's come to the Power BI interface, because we've not worked a lot on Power BI. We spent a lot of time on Power Query. So on the left hand side in Power BI, one second, some message. No, okay. On the left hand side in Power BI, what you have essentially is the first option is the report view or the report canvas, jahan pe we create our visuals. Okay. In Power BI, one page, you can have multiple pages, like you see at the bottom here. One page can have multiple visuals. Okay. Next is the table view. This table view is different from Power Query. Okay. It is not, it might look that you're looking at the table, but you're not in Power Query, you're in Power BI itself. You go to Power Query only by clicking on transform data button. Model view we already explored, right? Where you connect multiple tables to each other. And then there is a DAX query view, which is not relevant for you right now. Okay. And it is mostly for optimizing the DAX formulas that you write. And then at the bottom, you have a mobile layout view as well. Actually, it's actually this one on the right. Remember, whenever you create a dashboard, the consumption at an organization, the consumption might happen in different devices, right? So if a user wants to look at the dashboard in a mobile phone, you have to set up the layout differently. Creating it, it does not just convert into mobile layout. All the setting and the transformation has to be done. Okay. At the top, you have this view tab. Now view tab में there are these panes. 6 panes होते हैं आपके पास Power BI में. Right hand side पे you will see all of these panes. These can be enabled, disabled at the click of a button. ठीक है? Just to check with all of you, I hope आप सबका भी Power BI interface looks exactly like mine. On the right hand side, you should have all these panes, right? If they're minimized, that is okay. But if your interface looks anything different than this, then you haven't updated the security features. So please do that once. Okay. The first pane is the data pane. Data pane mein whatever data we load is going to be visible here. Second pane is the build pane, jahan se you can choose the visualizations. Third is the format pane, and these can be minimized as we want them to work. Last one is filters, which is visible here. Okay. And if I go to view, for example, I can, so right now these 3 panes are not enabled. ठीक है, मैं इनको enable करूंगा तो यहाँ visible हो जाएंगे. Generally आपका इन 3 panes में काम होता है. जब आप bookmarks पे या selection pane आपको देखना है, या आप performance analyzer में जाना चाहते हैं, where you want to see or look at how much time does it take for some visual to get filtered by selecting a slicer. When you want to analyze the performance, that is when you will use this. Generally, these 3 are the ones that you will need. Okay? Data, build, and format. These 3 should be by default visible to you. This fourth one is Copilot, which is the AI in Power BI. So I don't have a paid version, so that will not work. It's very expensive. $30,000 per license per year, per user per year. And there's a minimum license guarantee that the organization has to give. Perfect. So now we want to work with global superstore orders. Okay. So what we will do is we will load the data. So आप home में आएंगे, you will click on Excel workbook, and then you will choose the file global superstore orders. Right, same process like we've been doing the last 2 days. When you click on open, it will show you the navigator. In the navigator, एक ही sheet है आपके पास, orders compact. You will just have to check that sheet, and you will simply not click on transform. There is nothing to transform in this. All the transformation wala practice and hands-on exercises that we had to do, we've completed in the last 2 days. Today we'll only be focusing on visualization. So you will simply click on load. When you click on load, your data will directly be loaded into Power BI. Only when you click on transform, your data, your Power Query opens up. Your data is taken to Power Query. Even after you click on load, it might take a few seconds to load the data. And once your data is loaded, you can come back on my screen. So please go ahead and load your global superstore orders Excel in Power BI.
Sir, we have to simply load.
Yeah, simply load, like we've been doing. So you click on Excel workbook. It will ask you to choose the file. Just choose, double click, and then once you double click, it will ask you to choose the sheet. There is only one sheet, which is orders compact. So check this box and simply click on load. That's it. That is all you have to do. Simply click on load this way. Great. Okay. Now, once you've loaded your data, what happens next is your data gets visible in the data pane. Okay. So the data that we are working with has around 15 columns and 51,290 rows. Fairly straightforward data, nothing complicated. I have order date, ship date, customer name, city, state, country, region, market. Similar to what we were working the last 2 days. Segment, subcategory, category, sales, quantity, discount, and profit. The process of loading the data set we have already covered. So you can either go to get data and then go to more and choose Excel, or Excel ka default यहाँ पे button है. You can click on that button as well, because Excel is one of the most common sources that people would want to connect to. Hence, they have given a separate button here as well. Or you can use the same method that we tried the last 2 days, which is go to get data, go to more, and then choose Excel workbook. Once you do that, the navigator opens. The navigator allows you to choose the sheet from the file. We are only working with the current sheet. Orders compact, Excel में sheet का नाम है, तो sheet का नाम यहाँ visible होता है. I will check this box and I will click on load. Checking this box is important, otherwise it does not allow me to load the data. Remember, transform will take it into Power Query, load will directly take it into Power BI. When you load the data, on the right hand side, आपका एक डेटा पेन इनेबल हो गया होगा. अगर इनेबल नहीं हुआ है तो उसको आप इनेबल कर सकते हैं. So it is just on the right hand side here, right? This cylindrical shaped icon. You can click on that to see the data pane. In your data pane, you will see the sheet table name, which is orders compact. You will not see all the columns. To see all the columns, you will have to click on this small arrow to expand the list of columns. Okay. It is minimized by default. You can expand it. Okay. Now, you can do that later. On the data pane, you will see certain symbols. So for example, besides certain column names or field names, you will see certain symbols. The summation or the sigma or summation, this refers to numbers. Then wherever you see a calendar symbol, that refers to dates. ठीक है. Text का कोई symbol यहाँ पे denote करने के लिए नहीं है. ठीक है. And number में भी वो whole number है या decimal number है, वो data type का definition यहाँ पे आपको नहीं दिखेगा. In this view in Power BI, there is a separate view where you can see that. Power Query, you can obviously see it besides the column name. Here, these are the only two symbols that you will see. And remember the date. So we have two dates, order date and ship date. Dates will have an automatic hierarchy created. In my Excel, if I go back a few steps, in my Excel, there are individual dates, but Power BI automatically groups and creates the hierarchy at a year, quarter, month, and day level. Week level aggregation is not available in Excel, neither in Power BI. It is always something that you will have to calculate. Okay. If you want to change the source of the file, for example, अभी हमने global super source से connect किया है. अगर आपका file change होता है, file का path change होता है, और आपको उसको reconnect करना है या path को change करना है, so you have to click on the transform data drop down. आप ऊपर इस icon पे click करेंगे तो it will take you to the transform data icon. It will take you to Power Query. You click on the drop down and choose data source setting. Right? It's just for your information that if you have to change the folder path or the file path in this case, not the folder path, in this case, so you'll go to transform data, you can go to data source settings and it shows me the current path. I can click on change source and will allow me to change the source. ठीक है. आप अगर फोल्डर को भी कनेक्ट कर रहे हैं तो उसका पाथ भी आपको यहाँ से ही आके चेंज करना है. ठीक है. या तो आप पावर क्वेरी में जाके चेंज कर सकते हैं फर्स्ट स्टेप में, या फिर आप यहाँ से कर सकते हैं. पावर क्वेरी में कहाँ होता है चेंज? इफ आई क्लिक ऑन ट्रांसफॉर्म डेटा, इट विल ओपन पावर क्वेरी and here in the first step, right, which you already seen, the first step is source. It shows me the file path here, right? So I can either come here and change it, or I can directly change it from there as well. Okay. Don't need to go to Power Query right now, just sharing these points with you. Now, to create visuals, there are two ways. You can either go to insert and choose the visuals that you want to create. For example, I can come to insert and I can decide, click on this drop down and decide what visuals I want to add. When I hover on top of a visual, it only shows me the name of the visual, does not give me any additional insight in terms of what kind of data can this visual represent. It only shows me the name. So this is a stacked bar chart, that's a stacked column chart, a clustered bar chart, clustered column chart, so on and so forth. When you want to insert a visual, for example, right now, the visual that we'll be inserting is a clustered column chart. So one method is you can do it from here, where you go to insert and add the visual. The other is you can come on the right hand side here and you have a pane called build, right? The columns with the cylinder icon, the pane is called build, right? From this, you can simply click on any visual that you want. Right now, we want to create a clustered column chart. So the fourth visual. So please click on the fourth visual, clustered column chart. And when you do that, it'll create this blank visual for you. We obviously have to add fields to it for it to populate some data. First, at the first level, it is obviously going to be blank. Okay. So just add this clustered column chart visual. We'll be creating a simple visual with date hierarchy and sales. Power BI's visuals allow you to do a deeper analysis on a single visual itself. That is something that we will be exploring in the next few steps. Okay. I'll first take you through the screenshots and then we'll do the example as well. So just click on the visual and it will get added to the sheet. एक शीट पे मल्टीपल विजुअल्स हो सकते हैं, उसका कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है. You can have as many visuals as you want. Generally, I would not want to over populate or clutter my dashboard area, right? So for now, we're starting only with one visual. When you click outside the visual, it is not selected. When you click inside the visual area, it is selected. And here in the build panel itself, you will see all the fields that you can add to. So I can add values to the x-axis, y-axis, legend, small, multiple, and tooltips. We'll explore each of these later. But to add something to a visual or to look at visual level formatting or settings, you will have to click on the visual first. Okay? Now, when you want to add values to the visual, there are two things that will happen. You can either click on this icon that appears on the side of the visual and directly add values from here to the visual, or you can do it from the right hand side panel as well. Okay? So दो तरीके हैं, two methods हैं. So you see this icon here. I can click on this icon and I can click on, let's say I want to add something to my x-axis. I can click on this add data button and choose what I want to add here. That is one method of adding values. The other method is I can come here in the build pane. So this is on the visual adding data. This is through the build pane. I can click on this add data button. It'll show me the values that I want to add. And here what I can also do is I can, for example, take a value. Let's say I take order data, I can drop it here. Right? These are few things, three methods. So one is you can directly add data from the visual itself. अगर आपको ये button नहीं दिख रहा है, which is add data and build your visual, then you will simply have to go to view, and here in the pane manager, one second, is it the pane manager or is it a different setting? So they made a change to it from the previous. I think it is visible by default only on all active panes. So this you should be able to see. In the earlier version, it was not visible by default. You would have to turn it on, but now it is visible by default, right? So the process is fairly simple. I can also literally drag something and drop it on top of my visual, and that will also allow me to add the value to the visual. Okay. So these are certain ways you can add values to a visual. Then you can also search in the data pane. अगर आपके पास बहुत सारे columns, for example, I spend the day working on a project for a client where they've given me a lot of files and I have to consolidate that information into a single table. And I am dealing with files which have 50, 60 columns, right? So it becomes very cumbersome. So a lot of times I would want to search for columns when I come to the visualization stage. So I can search for columns here. It's a wild character match. It allows you to retrieve columns easily. Okay. Now, the first thing that we want to do in the clustered column chart is I want to take my order date and I want to drop it into my x-axis, and I want to take my sales and drop it into my y-axis. So first see how I do it, and then you can replicate the same thing. Remember, click on the visual, only then you will be able to add values to the visual. From the right hand side panel, okay, let me know if you want me to zoom in further or not zoom in, okay, however you want me to, because I'm on a smaller screen, so I feel that you might not be seeing correctly. That's why I keep on zooming in. If the zooming zooming in is disturbing your focus, then let me know. I'm going to take order date, drag it and drop it on top of the x-axis like this. Then I'm going to take sales. I've only plotted it on the x-axis. I don't have a value, hence it is not populating the chart. I will take sales. I will drop it on top of the y-axis like this. Okay. When I do that, I will see this view. Please do this with me. And please remember, आप order date को expand करके कोई individual hierarchy नहीं डालेंगे या individual field नहीं डालेंगे. You will not put just year, quarter, month or date. You will pick up this entire field, which is the order date field. You can also minimize and maximize your panes if you're not able to see the column names correctly in its full length. You will drag order date and drop it on top of x-axis. You will drag sales and drop it on top of y-axis. If your filter pane is enabled, you can minimize it. We will not be needing it right now. Okay. So order date on x-axis, sum of sales on y-axis. Sales on y-axis. And you should have this sort of a visual. Okay. Whenever you complete some task, just give me a quick confirmation in chat so that I know that you have done the task and we can move ahead. Okay. Now, once you add the fields to the visual, I hope all of you are seeing the 4 years only, not individual days or anything. If you're seeing individual days, please let me know. Okay. You should see 4 columns for the 4 different years itself. Now, here there are certain things that you can do. In the y-axis, where I have sum of sales, like in a pivot table, I have dragged sales and put it, when I put sales, drag sales and put it in my values in the pivot table, it aggregates to sum by default. And in the pivot table also, I can change the aggregation from a sum to an average, min, max. I can do the same things here as well. I can click on the small arrow, and from here, I can change the summarization to anything else that I want. Okay. I can make it an average, minimum, maximum, count, distinct, count, etc. For now, we're going to leave it at sum itself. Okay. And the order date will automatically have a hierarchy created. So you will not have to do anything here. Okay. The hierarchy is automatically established. So all you have to do is just drag and drop it on top of it. If your date is not correctly formatted in Excel, then it will not pick it up here. So your date has to be correctly formatted in Excel at the source, and then it will be able to populate or correctly pick it up here as well. Now, the next thing that we want to look at in this visual specifically is the 4 arrows at the top. Okay. These 4 arrows allow you to deep dive into the data in a single click. By default, the first arrow is disabled, which is drill up, because I'm at the highest level of hierarchy, which is year. Because year के ऊपर कुछ है नहीं. Year is the highest level of hierarchy. अगर मुझे डीप डाइव करना है, मुझे किसी एक ईयर में, किसी एक क्वार्टर में, किसी एक मंथ में एट डे लेवल वैल्यूज को देखना है, so I will first have to turn on this drill down feature. The second arrow, the drill down feature. What does it do? It's called drill mode. Click a data point to drill. So if I choose the year 2020, after I turn this on, you will see this black circle surrounding it. After I turn that on, by doing a single click here, I can click on any one year. So I can click on 2020. Then it will show me the 4 quarters only in 2020, right? I can go ahead and click on, let's say, Q3. Then it only shows me the months in Q3 of 2020. And let's say I go in July, I look at the day level values or day level trend in July. To come back up to the previous hierarchy, so I'm at the lowest level of hierarchy day. To come back up to quarter, month, quarter, and year, I will have to click on this first button, drill up. I click one time, it brings me to quarter. I click one more time. Sorry, I click one time, it brings me to month. A second time will bring me to quarter, and a third time will bring me to the year. As long as this drill down feature is enabled, any column that you click on, it will deep dive into that column. Okay. After year, there is nothing to deep dive into, or sorry, after day, so it will not take you to the next level. Okay. This is the first button, which is the drill mode on feature. Okay. Then there is second, which is go to next level in hierarchy. What this does is when you click on this double arrow icon or symbol, it will only show you 4 quarters. एक बार फिर से notice कीजिए. अभी मुझे it is showing 4 years. Okay. Drill down allows me to deep dive into one specific year, then one quarter within that year, then 1 month within that quarter, and then look at the day level trend. The go to next level in hierarchy button, which is this double arrow, when I click on that, it shows me only 4 quarters. What do you think it is doing here? Why is it showing me only 4 quarters? I'm just going to maximize it like this. Can anyone tell me? When I drill up, it shows me 4 years. When I click on that icon one more time, it only shows me 4 quarters. What does this mean?
Maybe it has aggregated for all years.
Correct.
It has
Exactly.
taken the quarter one.
Exactly. Perfect. So it is aggregated for all the years. Correct. If I click one more time, it'll show me the 12 months. So it is showing me the cumulative sales across the years, right? Without deep diving into one specific year. So it is aggregating across whatever level of detail I'm looking at. If I'm at the quarter level, Q1 across all 4 years will be populated. If I'm at month level, Jan to December, each column represents sales for Jan of first year till the 4th year. If I click one more time, it shows me the day level trend across the 4 years. Okay, it shows me the day level trend. That is the expand or go to next level in hierarchy. Then you can drill up to come back to the previous level. Okay. Then the other or the last one is expand all down one level in the hierarchy. What this one does is it shows you data for 4 years at the first level. When you click on it for this first time, it will show you data for all the 4 years and all the 4 quarters together. When you click on it the second time, it will show you all the 4 years, all the quarters within those years, and all the months within those quarters. If you click on it a third time, it will show you year, quarter, month, and day level data. Now, it might look like a lot of clutter that you're looking at a lot of data points, but it allows you to scroll as well, right? It allows you to scroll as well. And you can come back up to the previous level in multiple clicks. So just to show you, the first one is the drill up. It will be disabled by default if you're at the highest level. You will choose drill down if you want to dive into one specific year. If you want to look at cumulative values, you can choose go to next level in the hierarchy. If you want to go to or expand across all the levels, then you will choose the last option, which is expand all down one level in the hierarchy. Okay. So this last option will give you this sort of a view where the first value is the sum of sales by year. Second is sum of sales by year and quarter. Third view is sum of sales by year, quarter, and month. And the fourth view is sum of sales by year, quarter, month, and day. Now, why is this a better? Can I not create the same thing in Excel? I can't. Having this level of granular data in Excel is not possible in a chart because Excel does not give you the scroll bar. And just to show you what the challenge is, here we get a scroll bar that allows me to scroll. In Excel, the scroll bar does not appear. So it compresses everything to whatever is there in the view. And if you have so many data points, आप चार्ट बहुत बड़ा या expand नहीं कर सकते हो, ठीक है? So ये एक Excel का limitation है जब आपको बहुत granular information देखनी है, where the breadth of the points that you're looking at is very wide, then Excel does not do a very good job at that visual. ठीक है? Then we looked at turning on the drill mode and turning off the drill mode. You turn it on, then it allows you to deep dive into one specific year. So for example, if I choose 2022, it shows me all quarters within 2022. How do I know I'm in 2022? It'll show me the year at the bottom here on the x-axis. Okay. Then within that year, whatever quarter I go into, it'll show me that over here as well. And then within that quarter, whatever month I go into, it'll show me that here as well. Okay. So one specific year, I can then go down into the next level. right? I can then go down into the next level. If I want to sort my data, right, I can click on this three dots on top of the visual, and there are multiple options available here. इस visual के data को मैं export कर सकता हूँ, इसको मैं table format में देख सकता हूँ, इसको मैं remove कर सकता हूँ. I can put it in Spotlight, and I can sort the axis. I'll just show you these options. So when I click on this, I get all these options. Export data allows me to export my data into as a CSV file by default. The only option that you get is CSV here. This is just the data from the chart. Chart में जो data points है उसी को ये export करेगा. Show as table will convert or show me a table at the bottom for the visual that I'm looking at. And this is not part of my dashboard. It is just something that I can do. I'll have to click on go back to report to come back to my report. When I click on the three dots again, it shows me this is a new feature that has come in. We'll cover this later. Remove will obviously remove the visual. Spotlight will put a focus on my visual. For example, I don't remember how that works. Just a second. Spotlight. Okay, it should open a new page. I'm not sure why that is not happening, but basically zooms in on your visual. So if you have multiple visuals on a single page and you choose Spotlight, it will show you. Oh, I think that is focus mode. Yeah, that one, the one that I'm talking about is focus mode, which is right here. Okay, so it just zooms into your visual if you have multiple charts in a single table. And the sorting option is no longer available here. That has moved to the format pane. So these screenshots are from a slightly earlier version, I think this year only, but slightly earlier version. Microsoft keeps on updating Power BI every month. So every month there are some changes that happen in the interface. Okay, तो screenshot में अगर आपको exact चीज यहाँ नहीं दिख रही है, that is okay, because Microsoft keeps updating the interface and some other features every month. That slight difference might be there. Okay, I just want you to explore these four arrows right now, which is drill down, next level hierarchy, and expand all down one level in the hierarchy. Just explore these three and let me know once you're done. And then we'll move to the next visual. Remember Power BI visuals? Every visual has a lot of customization that you can do, not just in terms of the formatting, but a lot of other stuff as well, right? So we're going to take a good amount of time exploring each of those. And this specific visual, which is the clustered column chart with the hierarchy feature or the drill down feature, allows you to look at multiple data points at different levels of hierarchy in a single visual only. आपको अलग-अलग charts create करने की जरूरत नहीं है. एक single visual में you're able to see different data points. So the user has more control over what they want to see in the visual. Take a lot of time. You can explore the four arrows and let me know once you're done. Perfect. Now, each visual comes with its own formatting options. कुछ बहुत common होते हैं, जैसे for example colors and all might be similar across all the visuals, right? But formatting is slightly tricky because there are so many options. It becomes difficult to find the right option when you're trying to search for it. So what you need to do is when you click on the visual, remember clicking outside does not mean you selected it. You will have to click inside the visual to select it. On the right hand side, you have this format pane. When you click on it, you will see a lot of formatting available for the visual. If you're searching for something specific, for example, अगर मुझे इस visual के लिए data labels add करने हैं, which are not present right now. If I want to add data labels, I can search for data labels, and it will show me the data label option here. I can toggle it on. Once I toggle it on, within data label also, I have so many options like you can see here, right? For example, do I want to show the the orientation? Do I want it vertical or horizontal? What is the position? Do I want the label to be on top of the column, inside the column, towards the end, at the center, right? Label density. If the label is very large in terms of the text, do you want to concatenate it? Right? Do you want to add a separate title to the label? Do you want to increase the font size, which is under value? So ये सारे formatting options available हैं for each setting, right? So within one setting also, which is data labels, once you toggle it on, you have a lot of options available. For example, I have searched for data labels in the format pane. I have turned it on and I have only gone to values. In values, I have increased the font size, right? And I can also change the color. Let's say I want to make it dark blue. I can make it bold. And right now it is showing me 1 decimal place. If I want to increase decimal places, I can do that from here. By default, whatever value it picks. So right now I don't have the currency. So it is picking millions by default. If you want to change that, you can change it from here as well. If you want to show something custom, like the rupee symbol and all, you can do that from custom as well. Okay. So just add data labels on top of this chart. Just add data labels on top of the chart, and the data labels are dynamic. So whatever level of detail or granularity I go into, the data labels will be visible at that level of granularity. Whether I expand one level down, right? So the data labels are completely dynamic. Just add data labels to the visual. Once you're done with the formatting, you can hide the format pane as and when required. You can hide the format pane as well. Once you've added the data label, you can just rename the sheet to clustered column chart, right? Or you can call it date hierarchy or something. And please ensure that you save your Power BI file at different intervals. I'm just going to save it right now because I haven't saved it yet. This is 22nd December, which was, I'm just going to go on a new sheet. And once I save it, we'll continue building on top of it. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to create a KPI card. Okay. Now a lot of visuals, like the one that we saw for Swiggy also yesterday, the dashboards. A lot of dashboards will have KPI cards showing important metrics that are relevant to the stakeholders. So we'll see how to create a KPI card. We'll also format the value or the sales to currency. We can do that as well. So to do that, what you will need to do is just come to the model view, come to the model view, okay, come to the model view, and in the model view, click on the sales column. In the model view, click on the sales column. ठीक है. And यहाँ पे, so I'm on the model view. I clicked on the sales column. Under format, you should be able to choose currency over here. Under format, you should be able to choose currency over here. And under currency, you can then go ahead and choose the currency format, which is rupees for us. I'm just finding it. It's going to be under Hindi or something. Yeah. So I have found rupees, and that's Mauritius. Where is India? You just have to scroll a little, but you should be able to find India as well. Okay, I've got Indonesia, so I should have India somewhere here. I've got India here, right? So you'll have to scroll to the center and you will be able to find India, which is Hindi rupees. And what that will do is it will convert the KPI card when we create it into rupees, right? Just abhi millions dikha raha tha, it will show rupees. I have something on the chat. My screen is not presenting. Are others also facing the same issue?
No, sir.
You can see my screen, right? I'll
Yes,
just
sir.
stop presenting and represent it one more time. Iqbal, I don't think it's an issue at my end. Maybe you can just log out and log in one time. Yeah, let me know. I've just reshared my screen. So everyone, please go to the model view, click on your sales field, ensure that the format is currency rather than general. And in the currency format at the bottom, scroll right to the center. No need to scroll one way, right to the center somewhere here. And you should be able to see rupees, Hindi, India in parentheses, right? Just click on that. Once you do that, then we'll go ahead and create the KPI card as well. We'll go ahead and create the KPI card as well. Once you do this step, come back to your report view and create a new page. To add a new page at the bottom, you can just click on this plus button and create a new page. ठीक है. कभी कभी होगा कि आप ज्यादा जूम इन या ज्यादा जूम आउट कर लिया आपने, तो उस केस में आपको क्या करना है, राइट बॉटम कॉर्नर पे देयर इज दिस बटन कॉल्ड fit to page. Okay, there's this button called fit to page. Just click on that button and it'll fit your entire report view to whatever space is available on the screen. Okay. Now to add the KPI card visual, what you will need to do is you will need to come to the build pane and in the build pane you have this card symbol. Okay, it's called 1 2 3. It's in the first column. It's the fifth visual in the first column inside the build pane. When you click on that, it'll create this empty card visual for you, and you can then come to your data pane. You can take sales or you can just check sales also, because card में ना एक ही field acceptable होती है, which is fields. So you can drag sales and drop it on top of this, or you can simply just tick this box as well, and it will show you the sum of sales like this. It will show you the sum of sales like this. Okay. Show you the sum of sales like this. Here also I can do a lot of formatting, which is increase the size, change the color, make it dynamic, have multiple things visible in the KPI card, etc. Just create this KPI card visual, guys. Let me know if you need any assistance or if you want me to repeat something. Right? Once you've created the card visual, you'll have to do one small formatting change, which is under the call out value. So you'll click on the visual. आप visual के बाहर click करेंगे तो आपका format में page level settings दिखाएगा. आपको visual के अंदर click करना है अगर आपको visual level formatting देखनी है. Under call out value, display units को आप none बना दीजिए, right? And when you do that, it'll show you the larger amount. It will not summarize the amount to a or restrict it to 2 decimal places or millions. It'll show you the entire amount. It'll show you the entire amount. Just click on the visual, click on this format icon, and under the call out value section, make sure you make the display units as none. Make sure you to make the display units as none. This is a card visual. This is a card visual. Okay. Let's rename that. Save the file as well. Wait. Rupees. Let's see. Once you're finished with this, create a third page. On this page, I'll show you what filters are in Power BI. ठीक है? उसके लिए हम दो visuals बनाएंगे पहले screen पे. ठीक है? तो just let me know once you're done with the first two examples, which is clustered column chart and then card visual. Then create a new page on which we will see how filters work in Power BI. Okay? How filters work in Power BI. And the next that we'll see is how slicers work in Power BI. Okay? Okay. So I want you to create a map now. So to create a map, you will choose the first option, which is this normal map, the globe symbol, second column, fourth row. Click on that. Location may just add your country in location and add sales to bubble size. तो अभी लोकेशन जब आप कंट्री को अपडेट करते हो तो और चार्ट को एक्सपैंड करोगे मैप विजुअल को तो लुक समथिंग लाइक दिस. तो हर कंट्री को वो एक बबल के थ्रू रिप्रेजेंट करेगा. ठीक है? द विजुअल दैट वी आर क्रिएटिंग इज दिस वन. the globe symbol. Okay. Second column, fourth row inside the build pane. When you populate country in location, it is going to put a bubble for each country. If you want to distinguish between the size of the countries, right? For example, each country is now represented by the same size of bubble. I can distinguish that bubble. One can be larger, the other can be smaller. How can I do that? I can do that by putting my sales in the bubble size option. Sales, drag and drop it on bubble size. What that will do is each bubble now will be visible differently. Each bubble now will be visible differently. Each bubble now will be visible differently. Do this first step, everyone. On half of the page, you can have the map. On half of the page, you can have the map. Take a few minutes. There's no need to rush, right? If you feel I'm going a little fast, do let me know, right? We've only covered 3 examples so far, but that's okay. The focus is on completing all the basic concepts around basic settings and options around visuals, and then we can focus on, creating visuals more rapidly to create a dashboard, right? We can do that tomorrow as well or towards the end of today's session. But first, you need to understand all these concepts of how visuals interact with each other, how you can insert visuals, modify, format them. And once you get a good understanding of that, you'll be in a better position to create visuals. So on the left, you will have one map visual, which is the globe map. सिर्फ map लिखा होगा but globe symbol होगा. उसको बनाने के बाद अब आपको एक second visual insert करना है, ठीक है? To insert the second visual, please ensure that you first click outside in the white area and then only go and choose the second visual. Otherwise, what happens is, अगर मेरा पहला visual selected है और मुझे अभी simple bar chart बनाना है, which is this one, clustered bar chart. So if my first visual is selected and I click on a different visual, it converts my current visual into that selected visual. Okay. So I don't want to convert it. I want to insert a second visual. So I will click outside in the white area and I will insert a clustered bar chart. I will insert a clustered bar chart. Okay. In the clustered bar chart on the y-axis, you can add subcategory and you can add sales on the x-axis. You can add sales on the x-axis like this. Okay, you can add sales on the x-axis. And you will see that now that we had earlier formatted everything to currency as rupees, whenever I hover on these columns or these bubbles, the currency or the sales value will be visible with the rupees symbol itself. Let me know if you have these two. You can take a few minutes. I'll take a pause now. And once you have these two, then I'll explain how filters work in Power BI. Okay. कुछ भी doubt है तो please पूछिए. But you should have two visuals, one map and one clustered bar chart. Have a sip of water. और ये जो पोर्शन है, इतने पोर्शन में ही जो है आपका डैशबोर्ड होता है, ठीक है। ये जो नीचे वाला एरिया है या साइड वाला, यू कैन मिनिमाइज इट, द पोर्शन एक्सपैंड्स, बट दीज डॉटेड लाइंस डिनोट, like when you zoom out, these dotted lines denote your dashboard or report area. ठीक है, I'm going to minimize everything on the left. I'm only going to expand on my filters pane. यहाँ पे एक पेन होगा filters का, आप सिर्फ उसी को expand कीजिए. This is the view that you should have on your screens. Great. Thanks for the confirmation, Sumama. Others, I hope you have also done this part so far. If not, let me not wait for a few more minutes. If yes, then I'll proceed with the next part. Okay. So now that we have this, what you want to do next is you will expand your filters pane. And on your filters pane, you can decide if you want to create a filter on this page, on all pages, and you can also have filters on visual. Abhi, since a visual is not selected, यहाँ पे वो option दिख नहीं रहा है. When I select a visual, it will show me filters on this visual as well. ठीक है? For example, right now, the bar chart and the map are not filtering to any specific location. They show me all the data points. मतलब यहाँ पे जब मैं phones की बात करता हूँ, this is phones across all the geographic data points available. If I select the map visual, I can decide if I want to apply a specific filter on this as well. For example, on the map visual, I can come here and on the right hand side, there is filters on this page. इसका मतलब है हर जो visual है इस page पे, that will be impacted by this filter. There is filter on all pages. Whatever filter I apply here, it will be impacted, or it will impact all the pages. For now, we will manipulate the first one, which is filter on this visual. So I choose the map visual. I come here and I click on this drop down for country. And I can manually choose, one option is I can manually choose something here. So I can search and choose India manually. I click on India. And once I do that, I can, I think that's it. I don't think we have to click on apply. Let me just see. Achha, we're choosing the, achha, it's already filtered. You don't need to click on an apply button. So I just choose India and it only filters India for me on the map. If I expand my build pane and let's say मैं country के साथ state add करता हूँ country के नीचे, ठीक है, state भी मेरे पास available है. I'm just adding state and location under country, right? What this allows me to do is right now, since I filtered, or if I clear the filtering for a second, do I need to create a hierarchy? Actually, don't add state for now. I think we need to create a hierarchy for state. For now, you can just do a basic filtering. जहाँ पे map पे आप India को filter कर सकते हो. This basically, this 1554 shows the number of rows where India is mentioned as a country. मतलब कितने transactions India as a country से आए हैं. shows the number of rows, right? Shows the number of rows. So if you want to focus on one specific visual and filter on that specific visual, you can choose this option called filter on this visual. If you want a visual impacting all the other visuals on the page, you will choose filters on this page. And if you want a filter to impact visuals across all the pages, you will choose filter on all pages. इसमें ऐड करने का प्रोसेस बड़ा सिंपल है. अगर मुझे कोई भी फील्ड ऐड करनी है जिसके बेसिस पे मुझे पूरा या इस पेज पे सारे विजुअल्स को फिल्टर करना है, तो मैं यहाँ से फिल्टर हटा सकता हूँ by clicking on this clear filter button that you see here that I'm highlighting. I'll just minimize this. And let's say I want to create a filter on this page, which means both of these visuals get impacted. What I will do is I'll take country and I'll drag it and drop it on top of this area where it is written add data fields here. When I do that, I can now choose India here and it will only show me data for India on both the visuals. यहाँ पे tooltip में India will not be mentioned because I have not added it to the tooltip. So India will not be mentioned in the tooltip of subcategory, but since यहाँ पे map पे it is visible, you will be able to see it here. Right? Since it is visible on the map, you will be able to see it here. So just try this filtering. You can try a filter on this visual by clicking on country and choosing which country you want to filter to. You can try filter on this page. Obviously, remember, filter on a single page will override any visual level filters automatically. For example, अगर मैंने किसी एक विजुअल पे फिल्टर लगाया है इंडिया का, ठीक है, मान लीजिए इस वाले पे मैं एक सेकंड के लिए फिल्टर हटाता हूं just to explain. Please have a look at my screen only. I have removed both the filters. I've just added country in my filters on this page wala field. Let's say on my first option, which is filters on this visual, if I just choose Albania, for example, it will only highlight Albania. But in my second filter option, which is filters on this page, if I choose India, it will override that, right? So it will not show it correctly here. Okay. So यहाँ पे India will also not be populated. It will basically ignore the earlier filter and populate nothing. So your filters cannot clash. That is something you have to ensure. Okay. Your filters cannot clash. Okay. That is something that you have to ensure. I'm just going to make one small change. I'm going to try and put my state. It's not picking up state for some reason. So let's keep country only. Okay, just try this filters option, which is filter on this page. Then similarly, आप एक बार मेरी screen पे देखना please. Sum of sales का भी filter लगा सकते हो. For example, if I click on this subcategory visual and I go to this option called filters on this visual, I click on the sum of sales drop down. I can decide at a numeric level, values greater than, less than. This is similar to what you have in Excel. But if I want to show, let's say, top 3 subcategories or top 5 subcategories, what I can do is in the subcategory drop down, I can choose a different type of filtering. The base one is basic filtering, jahan pe you literally choose the values. The other is a top end filtering, right? Top end filtering is similar to what you have in an Excel pivot table. I'll say I want to see, I have, I think 13 or 17 subcategories. Let's say I only want to look at my top 10 subcategories. You will have to still, although sales is added as a field to the chart, यहाँ पे you will separately have to specify because the filter is coming externally. तो जरूरी नहीं कि मैं sales का filter लगाऊं, मैं top 10 profit, top 10 discount, top 10 quantity किसी भी अलग numeric field को यहाँ पे drag कर सकता हूँ. For example, अगर मैं profit को यहाँ drag करता हूँ और मैं apply filter पे click करता हूँ, तो मुझे वो top 10 visuals दिखाएगा, top 10 subcategories दिखाएगा with the maximum profit. ठीक है? Again, profit is added to the visual, is added to the filter, not directly on the visual, so it will not be visible in the tooltip. It will not be visible in the tooltip unless I go and externally add it. And if I remove profit from here and I just add sales again here, and I click on apply filter, then it shows me top 10 subcategories by sales. Okay? Does not have an impact on the tooltip, but it will filter the visual. Okay? When you publish a dashboard, you can decide if you want the user to look at this pane. अगर आप यहाँ से इसको hide करोगे, so readers of the report will not be able to see the filters that you have applied. अपन हाइड करोगे, they will be able to see the filters that you have applied. ठीक है, they will not be able to see the pane, but on the visual they will be able to see what filters have been applied. ठीक है, when you hide it, they will not be able to see what filters have been applied. ठीक है, so ensure that you either categorically mention in the title कि for example अगर मैं यहाँ profit डाल रहा हूँ तो आप वहां लिखिए कि these are the top 10 subcategories by overall profit. Otherwise there is no indication to the user that how the data is sorted or why there are only 10 subcategories. Okay? That is something that you have to indicate either through the title or some other way. Okay? Just try to explore these options. Filter on this visual and filter on this page, या फिर filter on all pages भी आप try कर सकते हैं. All pages मतलब अभी तक हमने जो pages बनाए थे उन सब पे भी ये filter apply हो जाएगा. जो भी आप filter on all pages पे डालोगे and आने वाले सारे नए pages जो आगे आप create करोगे उन पे भी वो filter applied होगा. ठीक है, तो 3 levels. एक सिंगल विजुअल पे फिल्टर हो सकता है, एक पेज पे मल्टीपल विजुअल्स पे फिल्टर हो सकते हैं, यानी एक पेज पे जितने विजुअल्स हैं उन सब पर, या फिर अक्रॉस ऑल द पेजेस यू कैन अप्लाई अ फिल्टर. जस्ट ट्राई इट आउट, डोंट स्पेंड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. एक बार एक्सप्लोर कर लो, एक आध फिल्टर लगा के देख लो, सो दैट वी कैन देन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट एग्जांपल. ठीक है, you want to practice in detail, you can, I suggest you do that later. For now, just familiarize yourself with the concept. Okay, have a look at where the settings are located, and when we create the final dashboard also, so we'll be exploring these options again. Just we're doing a quick introduction to all of this. Okay, next we'll be looking at slicers. I'll wait for a few more minutes for you to complete this example of exploring the filters pane, and then we'll move to the next topic, which is slicers. कुछ भी अगर कंफ्यूजन है, कुछ भी समझ नहीं आ रहा है तो प्लीज पूछिए. ठीक है, एंड टू योर फ्रेंड्स हु हैव नॉट अटेंडेड द लास्ट 2 सेशंस, you can ask them to watch the recording. The recording is there in that folder. I've also uploaded on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it from there as well. And if you have any doubts in what we've done in the last 2 days in Power Query, please let me know. If you feel Power Query is a good value addition in terms of a skill to your portfolio, and if you want to learn more, let me know. I'll share the right resources for you to learn Power Query M code further. Okay, similarly with Power BI as a tool overall. Okay, like I said, Power BI, when you want to work on it, you have to think from an analyst's perspective. Just dragging, dropping visuals, doing a bit of data cleaning is not going to, allow you to create or get an extensive job specifically in Power BI. You will have to have a wide area of knowledge to get skilled in Power BI. Please complete the filters pane exploration and then create a new page. That will be one for where we explore slicers. I'll just create it for now. You can continue working on filters. ठीक है, फिल्टर में कोई डाउट है, कंफ्यूजन है तो प्लीज पूछिए. ठीक है, ये कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं. एक बार आपको ये समझ में आ जाएंगे, so your understanding of working with visual will improve. Similarly, when we do DAX, then also we'll first start with the fundamental concepts, and then we'll come towards, trying to see how we can implement it in our dashboard. Let me know once you finish with your exploration of filters, and then we'll move to slicers. Please remember to save your file at different intervals in order to not lose out on your work. Sorry. Okay. Please come to the next page, everyone. You can rename that page as slicers. We will create a simple visual on this page. So you can go ahead and create a clustered bar chart itself. Okay, you can expand it to half of the page. उस पे you can add your subcategory and you can add your sales like we had just done earlier. Just create a single visual, a clustered bar chart or a column chart, whatever you want. It can be a bar or a column, doesn't make a difference. Just create one visual on a new page, call that page slicers. And on this page, we'll be exploring how to work with slicers. Filters are not visible to the end user, and the user can only see what filters have been applied, cannot interact or change them. A user can interact and change slicers because slicers are a visual that are there on the report along with your dashboard, along with your other visuals. Okay? So once you create a simple visual like this, where I just have a clustered column or a clustered bar chart, where I have subcategory on the x-axis in my column chart and sum of sales in the y-axis, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click outside in my white pane. You can come back on my screen for now. Okay. And यहाँ पे I have an option called slicer. Okay. Now there are multiple slicer options available here. ठीक है. इसमें से कोई आप अभी explore मत कीजिए. जो basic slicer है, that is good enough for all activity. So just click on the basic slicer, which is this one. So in the fourth column, the fifth row, the table and the funnel symbol, when you hover on top of it, it will show slicer. Click on it and the slicer will be visible here. Usko please minimize kar dena. So it's fairly small and you can position it somewhere on the top. Okay. Let me demonstrate and then you do it. So once I add a slicer, in the slicer, I can add different fields. So I can add a text field, I can add a numeric field, I can add a date field, and I can present the slicer in different formats. That is what we're going to see. So my एक slicer मैंने add किया है, उसमें I put my market. Okay. I can have the slicer visible as a checkbox or checklist right here. See, by default, right now, nothing is selected on my slicer, which means everything is selected. Okay. Unless I go to settings and turn on an option called enable or force selection, जहां पे यूजर को एक चीज सिलेक्ट करनी ही पड़ेगी. ठीक है. अभी सिंस मैंने एक बेसिक स्लाइसर ऐड किया है विद ऑल द डिफॉल्ट सेटिंग्स, जब कुछ भी मैं सिलेक्ट नहीं करता हूं तो सब कुछ सिलेक्टेड होता है, इसलिए मुझे वो सारा डेटा दिखा रहा है. जब मैं किसी एक मार्केट को स्पेसिफिकली चूज करूंगा, यू विल सी दैट द विजुअल विल चेंज एज द selection in the slicer changes. If I want to select multiple slicers, I can press control. Multiple values in the slicer, I can press control and do that. Okay. Now I can clear my selection from this button right here, small eraser icon. I can do that from there. Now when I click on the slicer also has a lot of formattings pertaining to it. Right. So I will click on the slicer and go to the format pane. Sorry, not Copilot. Format pane, and in the format pane for the slicer, there are not a lot of options. The most important option that you want to work with is slicer settings. ठीक है. Slicer settings. अब इस ऑप्शन में क्या है, आप स्लाइसर का स्टाइल चूज कर सकते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट नाउ द स्लाइसर इज विजिबल एज अ वर्टिकल लिस्ट. जब आप एक टेक्स्ट कॉलम के साथ डील करते हो, यू गेट थ्री ऑप्शंस. यू कैन आइदर हैव इट एज अ टाइल or you can have it as a drop down as well. You can have it as a drop down as well. For example, for this, I will create a drop down for the first slicer. ठीक है. मैं पहले स्लाइसर को एज अ ड्रॉप डाउन पोजीशन करूंगा. Just going to minimize this little so that I can show you by adding multiple slices. So I create the first slicer by just adding the slicer visual from here and adding market to it. And then in slicer formatting, I have come to slicer settings, options, and under options, I've chosen drop down for the first one. If I want to create the same visual again, I don't need to click outside, come and choose slicer from here. I can also click on the visual, press Control C, Control V, and it will duplicate the visual for us, duplicate the visual form. Okay. So अगर आपको कोई visual duplicate करना है, उसको select करके Control C, Control V दबा सकते हैं. It will duplicate the visual. Let's say in the second one, I want to show something different. Let's say my customer segment. So I'm going to take segment and put it in the second visual, but the style is going to be a tile. Okay. So this will be visible this way, like a literal tile. इसको आप minimize करोगे तो वो उस हिसाब से it will occupy the shape. If you expand the width and decrease the height, it will show you two only in a single view. Basic formatting around the size of the tile and all you can do from here, right, in the padding and all that, but we're not going to focus on that right now. So I can expand this vertically and I can minimize it a little. So I have a vertical selection like this. So when I choose a specific market, let's say I choose Asia Pacific, and within Asia Pacific I choose corporate, it shows me data for Asia Pacific and corporate. I can clear my selections from both these slicers. Now I'm going to copy and paste this one more time. Okay, बड़ा सिंपल प्रोसेस है. आपको एक स्लाइसर ऐड करना है. मैंने मार्केट का स्लाइसर ऐड किया है, उसका स्टाइल मैंने ड्रॉप डाउन रखा है. मैंने सेकंड स्लाइसर ऐड किया बाय कॉपिंग एंड पेस्टिंग द मार्केट स्लाइसर. उसमें से आई रिमूव्ड मार्केट एंड आई पुट सेगमेंट एंड आई मेड इट एज अ ड्रॉप डाउन. A third slicer that you can also create is for date. Okay, so date slicer का मैं आपको एक बार दिखा देता हूँ how the options look like. So I'm going to copy and paste the slicer. I'm going to remove segment and I'm going to put order date in that. So order date drop, I'm going to drop in fields. In fact, not order date. You will have to expand order date and drop the date hierarchy. Okay, you'll have to drop the date hierarchy like this. Just going to expand this. Now date hierarchy में I can have it visible as a vertical list. उसमें I will have to literally expand ऐसे, and I can choose a specific month, and within a month I can choose a specific day, I can choose a specific segment, and I can choose a specific market. It will only show me that data. To clear my selection, I can come to each slicer and clear my selection. But date is not very effective in this format. This is also nice, but it just becomes very long. If you make it a drop down, it'll be visible this way. Okay, so it'll be visible outside the area, but as a drop down. If you want to convert this into a slicer with a timeline, हाँ, so for example, अभी since मैंने hierarchy ऐड की तो ऐसे दिख रहा है. अगर मैं date hierarchy हटा दूं और मैं order date ऐड करूं, ठीक है, तो मुझे वो individual dates दिखाता है. और अगर अब मैं slicer settings में आऊं, so यहाँ पे it will also show me a lot of other options. Okay, so when you add a hierarchy, you only get two options: vertical list or drop down. जिसमें you will have to expand for each year, for each quarter, for each month, and then choose the day or the month that you want. When I add the order date as a field, which are nothing but individual dates like this, what I can do is I can change or have different styles. I can have a vertical list, not very useful because I have data for 4 years. Okay, so from 19 till 2022, I think I have data. So vertical list is not very useful. I can have it as a tile, not very useful. I can have this option called between. Okay, when I choose the between option, it shows me the first date and the last date here. If I want to change the date, I can click on this option. So ये start date or end date की तरह है. I can choose the date that I want, or I can also toggle using this slicer. I can also toggle using this slicer, which is very cool, right? So for dates, you get this slicer option also, or scroll bar. And if you choose before after, तो आपको वो भी मिलता है कि आप before a specific date, after a specific date choose कर सकते हो. तो वो आपको एक डेट के बाद वाले ही दिखाएगा, जहां पे सिर्फ आप स्टार्ट डेट या सिर्फ एंड डेट चूज कर रहे हो. If you want the capacity to choose both start date and end date, then you will choose this option called between. You will choose this option called between. Okay. So I want you to add a simple column chart or a bar chart, whatever you want to add, for subcategory and sales. Then I want you to add 3 slicers, one for market, one for segment, one for order date. The market slicer should be visible as a drop down. The segment slicer should be visible as a vertical list. And the order date slicer, you will not add the hierarchy, but the order date field as a whole. So you see individual dates, and you can change that to a style as between. Okay, style can be between so that you get this scroll bar effect. You can minimize this a little and you can elongate it further like this so that it gives you this sort of a view. Like this. Okay, so I have three slicers this way. Okay, slicer का जो visual है, it is the one with the funnel and the table symbol. This one, the one that I'm highlighting right now. Okay. Please take 5 minutes and explore the slicer as well. Now slicers are on the page, so a user can interact with the slicer, as in they can choose values in the slicer. So you give the user a lot of interactivity when they're creating the, or when they're using the dashboard or interacting with the dashboard as well. I don't think I have to explain why a slicer is useful. I think you guys are fairly clear with that. Excel में भी हम use करते हैं because it allows the user to slice and dice the data according to their needs or whatever view they want to see. You give them that level of customization. ठीक है? Because you cannot create everything. अगर मुझे 3 सेगमेंट का डेटा दिखाना है तो मैं 3 सेगमेंट का चार्ट बना सकता हूँ. मैं 5 मार्केट्स के लिए चार्ट बना सकता हूँ. मैं 4 years. It is just too much of information which will cause a lot of clutter. So you add slicers so that the user can slice and dice the data according to their requirement. Take a few minutes and complete this. Then we'll move to the next example. In the next one, I want to cover something called as before small multiple, we will cover 6 charts, which is all the column and all the bar charts. And then we'll move to something called as small multiple. Then we'll move to something called as small multiple. Let me know once you're done interacting with creating the 3 slicers, and then we'll move to the next step. Great. Thanks, Mama, for the confirmation. I hope others have also done it as well. I'll wait for a minute more. If you want me to wait longer, do let me know. Okay. And if you want me to repeat something, please feel free to let me know that as well. Let's create a new page for now. And this page code, just call it column and bar. Let's create a new page. You can call it column and bar. Okay. While this is happening, I also want to show you something else, which is, I don't think I have it downloaded. Oh, I have it. No, I don't have it. That's me. Which will guide. Download this. I'm going to put it in the folder for you guys also. Okay. Let's upload it right now. This is the visual reference guide for Power BI. मतलब आप different type of analysis Power BI में किन visuals के through कर सकते हो, उसके लिए we can use this as a guide. ठीक है. Just complete the example for slicers and then I'll take you through that as well. Take you through the document. It is created by this website called SQL BI. It's the go-to website for anything and everything around Power BI. उनकी यूट्यूब चैनल पे भी बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं Power BI के अराउंड जो बहुत क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन है. You won't be able to go for their courses because their courses are priced exorbitantly high. For example, their introduction to like the fundamental DAX course, which takes you from DAX basic to advanced, is I think INR 30,000 for an online course. So exorbitantly priced, but they have a lot of content on YouTube that I also like to refer to. So you can refer them as well. SQLBI. SQLBI is the website. Okay. Okay, I think you're done with this one. So just come back on my screen. So I've uploaded this in the folder as well, visual reference. In 2018 में बनाया था इन लोगों ने, and it stands true today as well. Now Power BI में you have to remember that apart from what visuals you see here, जो ये basic visuals हैं, you can click on these three dots. You can go to get more visuals and it opens something called an app source, जहाँ पे आप बहुत सारे visuals access कर सकते हो, like hundreds of visuals. Okay. So Power BI, there is no limitation on the number of visuals that you would want to have. Okay. For something as simple as a slicer, there are so many variations, right? So you can use the default. If you want something very specific, you can use that as well. For example, I was working on with a client recently, and they wanted to map lat and long data from origin to destination, which can only be done using. I can't do it with the default map feature. Okay, उसमें I have to do a lot of customization, but there is a specific custom visual created for this, and most of these are free up to a certain, like a majority of them are free. Some of them are freemium, so you have some features that are free, some features that are paid. Okay, so in the visual guide, you have different types of analysis. For example, if I want to compare, I want to do a comparison. What are the charts that I can use? If I want to do a or represent change over time, what are the charts that I can use? If I want to do a ranking, what are the charts that I can do? If I want to do a spatial analysis, right, what are the charts that I can do? If I want to show flow, what are the charts that I can use? Okay, these are not all dynamic default charts. इसमें से कुछ custom visuals भी हैं. अगर मुझे parts of a whole दिखाना है, तो what are the charts that I can use? For example, right now we will be creating these 6 charts, which is a clustered bar, clustered column, 100% stacked column, 100% stacked bar chart, and stacked column chart. Then there is distribution. Then there is correlation. What are the visuals that you can use? If you want to represent single values, what are the visuals that you can use? ठीक है, कुछ इसमें से default हैं, कुछ जो है वो custom visuals हैं, like I said earlier. If you want to have different slicers for filters, you can have that as well. For example, this slicer called Play Axis. Very cool. Just to show you how this works, I have it installed. So in Play Axis, what I can do is I can add my, let's say, dates. Okay. And once I add my dates here, so what happens is if I create a simple chart, let's say sales by sales, and then I have my profit. I plot them on a scatter, and I want sales here. I want market on the x-axis. Like this. Now, once I have a simple visual, when I click on this play button, what it does is, wo across all the 4 years, it will take me and show me the data. अगर मैं year हटाऊं तो मुझे across all the quarters लेके जाएगा. Okay. Q4, then we'll complete that. If I say months, so it will take me across all the, so it's like an animation that you can create. Okay. Now, isme also there is level of granularity. You can see there is drill down. So if I do expand, let me just add that order date again. So if I do expand one level down in hierarchy, where I say year, quarter, month, and day, let's say year, quarter, month, तो मुझे month over month change दिखाएगा. तो 2019 में month over month change दिखाएगा. Jan, Feb, March, so on and so forth. Then it'll go to 2020, then it'll go to 2021. I can come up a level, let's say just year and quarter. So within each year, it'll show me the quarter level analysis. So once it is done in 2022, it'll go to the next one. Right? So ऐसे बहुत सारे custom visuals available हैं that you can utilize to create different or enhance your current report pages or dashboards. Okay. So this guide I've added, this you can refer to. Okay. इसमें there is also a categorization के what is a built-in visual, कौन सा certified visual है. Also remember Power BI में I can write Python code, I can write R code. There is something called as Deneb in Power BI now, which is DENEB, okay, which allows you to create highly customized visuals in Power BI. I think it uses JSON syntax के through. Okay. So level of customization is there. Okay. आप कितना depth में जाना चाहते हो in terms of visuals, formulas, function, that is totally up to you. Now, what I want to do next is I want to create column and bar charts. So I'm going to start with a stacked one. सबसे पहले, I'm going to add my segment and sales in the first one. Okay. I'm going to add my segment and sales here. I'm going to take my year, only the year, and put it on top of the segment. और segment को मैं legend में डालूंगा. ठीक है. So when I create a chart like this, where I have year on the y-axis, sales on the x-axis, and I take a different field and put it in legend, what happens is, so if I take segment and put it in legend, it will break down each column by the legend. तो मेरे पास 3 segment है, consumer, workforce और corporate. Within each year, वो 3 color बना देगा हर column में, and it will break down that by 3 separate colors. This is a stacked bar chart, the first one. Okay. Now, if I want to convert this into a different visual, I don't need to create a visual and build everything from scratch. मैं इसी fields के साथ, I'll Control C, Control V, copy the visual, position it on the right here. And once I have selected the second visual, I will convert this into a clustered bar chart. Okay. And I'm going to copy and paste it into a third one. I copied it twice, I think. Yeah. Into a third one, which I want to be a 100% stacked. Let me just realign these this way, because I want to explain these 3 also. So these are some of the most common visuals that you will see in a lot of McKinsey reports also, right? And at the bottom, what I want to do is I just want to copy all 3. So you can copy by highlighting this way as well. इस तरीके से press shift and select, Control C, Control V. मैं copy करके नीचे I'm creating a new row, and this one I will convert into a stacked column chart. This I will convert into a clustered column chart, and this I will convert into a 100% stacked column chart. Okay. I'm just going to quickly put the names also of these charts on the top so that you are able to refer to them. Okay. My title change kar deta hu quickly so that you can see the. This one is a stacked bar chart, and the next one is a 100% stacked bar chart, and the next one is a clustered bar chart. Then the next one is stacked column chart. Next one is, sorry, clustered column chart. And the next one is 100% stacked column chart. Okay. So now minimize the panes, and before you create these, तो मैं आपको और एक एग्जांपल दिखाऊंगा, फिर वो दोनों एग्जांपल आप साथ में कर लेना, ठीक है? A lot of space here. Just going to move this to the right a little. I'm going to move these two as well. Okay, looks great so far. Perfect. So I have these 6 charts that I have created. So I'll just explain very quickly what each of these mean. Acha, if you want to minimize the ribbon in Power BI, you will have to click on this small arrow here. Do you see this arrow? You can click on that and hide the ribbon. Okay? That is the maximum. This is the maximum full screen mode you can get in Power BI. अभी बहुत ज़्यादा screen पे fit करने के लिए मैंने इस button पे click किया है fit to page. So if I zoom out a lot or I zoom in a lot and I click on fit to page at the right bottom corner besides the scroll bar, it will fit to whatever area I have on the screen. Stack bar is fairly simple. It compares in a single column what I put in the legends. Okay? So consumer, corporate, and home office allows me to compare parts of a whole. 100% stacked bar, what does it do is it will convert everything to a 100% and then show me the proportion. Okay, how much it is contributing to the 100%. In the tooltip, you will see a percentage as well, which is not visible in the stacked bar chart. In the 100% stacked bar chart, you will see that all the bars have the same height, and you will see the percentage as well in the tooltip. For example, 2021 corporate 10,64,000, 31.27% contribution. Clustered bar chart, fairly simple. Each column will be visible, each value in the legend will be visible as a separate column. Another way of comparing. Okay. Then stacked column chart, exactly like a stacked bar chart, just different orientation, vertical. Then you have a 100% stacked column chart. Again, the height is going to be same. On the axis, you will see percentage, not values. On the axis here, you see percentage, not values. On this one also, and on this one also. Okay. And then this is a clustered column chart, which is again fairly straightforward, nothing very complicated. Now, one thing that I want to discuss here is, remember in Power BI, visuals also create filters for other visuals. For example, अगर मैं किसी एक aspect पे click करता हूँ, अभी मैंने same data रखा है हर जगह, but if I click on one part of the visual, it filters everything else on the page. तो जितने visuals होंगे वो सारे filter हो जाते हैं on a single click. When I have to unfilter, I click on that again. If I click on something else here, it will choose that. I can click on that and unfilter. Okay. So now this is not a very nice way of representing data across. Like I don't need to create 6 different charts. This I did just to show you the different type of column and bar charts that are available. There is one more called a column and a line. We can explore that tomorrow. Okay. So isme there is nothing complicated. I don't want you to create this right now. You can do that later. Abhi, I wanted to create something called a small multiple chart. Okay, जो मैं अभी आपको दिखाने वाला हूँ. So let's say I have my markets and I have 5 markets with me. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I have 5 markets with me. And let's say I want to show my sales across all the markets. Okay. I have my sales across all the markets, but I want to create individual charts for each market. Okay. I want to create individual charts for each market. Now, how do I do that? I have something called as small multiple. मतलब अगर मैं 5 markets का data अलग-अलग level पे देखना चाहता हूँ, maybe for 4 different years, I want to see कि 19 में what is the market share, 20 में what is the market share, 21 में I don't need to create 4 charts. या मुझे slicer add करने की जरूरत नहीं है. I have a feature in Power BI called small multiple. Okay, so I'm starting with a simple chart where I have market and where I have sum of sales. And then in the build pane, at the bottom below legend, you will see something called as small multiples. Okay, you will see something called as small multiples. Whatever field you put here, for example, if I put year here, my year has 4 unique values. So this single chart is going to be broken down into 4 different charts inside the same visual. Okay, inside the same visual. Please have a look. So I'm going to take my year and I'm going to drop it in small multiples. I'm going to take my year and I'm going to drop it in small multiple here, and will create 4 charts for me. राइट, इनसाइड ए सिंगल विजुअल. ये 4 अलग-अलग चार्ट्स नहीं है, ये एक सिंगल विजुअल है. ठीक है, दिस इज वन सिंगल विजुअल. प्लीज क्रिएट दिस एवरीवन. दिस कॉलम एंड बार यू कैन डू लेटर, नथिंग वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. ठीक है, इफ यू वांट टू ट्राई इट राइट नाउ, यू कैन ट्राई इट राइट नाउ एज वेल. आई विल कीप इट एक्सपैंडेड, and then you can try this chart called small multiples. You can try this called small multiple. ठीक है, so इसमें I can put any field that I want. For example, if I want to put, if I'm feeling very jolly, if I want to put region in my legends, in my build pane, I have a lot of regions, I know that for sure. And if I put, it's populated the wrong area, I don't want it in legend, I want it in small multiple. Now I have a lot of regions. Okay, I think 6 or 7 regions. So it creates individual chart for each region, but region और market साथ में सही नहीं दिखेगा. So I can have maybe something like segment populated there, right? Because consumer segment. So I'll have, no, I have a lot of regions. I don't have 6 regions. I have a lot of regions. So all the regions will be visible like this. ठीक है, तो आप market में add करना small multiple में, because I want to show you how you can, अभी जैसे scroll bar appear हो रहा है, I want to show you how you can fit everything into a single screen ताकि scroll bar appear ना करे. So put your, basically follow this formatting setup. Y-axis में put segment, X-axis में put sum of sales, and small multiples में put region. ठीक है, just do these 3 things. Create a simple column or a bar chart, a clustered one, and then I will tell you what to do next. This is the formatting setup that you have to follow. Okay, great. Now, if you don't want the scroll bar to appear, what you can do is you will have to go to format, and you can hide the other panes for now. I just need the format pane. And once you put something in small multiple, formatting may small multiple ka setting will get enabled. Okay, so I can format how the small multiple visuals are arranged inside this one single grid. Now I have a simple rows and columns setting here. If I increase the number of rows and columns, I will have a chart like this. If I increase it by one more level, so अगर आप इस तरीके से rows और columns को increase करोगे, ठीक है, you can decide what level you want. How many I have? How many do I have? So increase one more column, and that should do it. Okay. So we can have less number of rows, or maybe more number of rows and less number of columns, something like this. And you can decide what level of customization you want in terms of number of rows and number of columns. Let's say you want a 4x4 grid, you can have something like this. Okay, you want to make it even smaller, you want to have an 8x8. let's say 7 columns here. You can have something like this as well. Obviously, the additional ones will show up as blank. Okay, usme you can't do anything, but it gives you this nice view. Okay, I can reduce the row by one or my column by one. So I have 4 rows and 6 columns, and it gives me this sort of a view. Okay, again, इसमें I don't need to do any individual formatting on each of these small multiple charts. If I want to add data label, for example, अभी मैं small multiple settings में गया था जहां पे मैंने 4 rows and 6 columns किया है. Padding is nothing but जो border है वहां से chart कितना दूर दिखेगा. ठीक है, padding is that basically. So if I reduce the padding, you will see the charts getting a little wider. That is it. Okay. The padding is all 4 sides से जो extra space होता है in each chart. So you can reduce the padding also to make it 4 points. You can turn off the borders so it will look like this. You can turn on the borders so it will look like this. Each chart has a title. You can turn it on or turn it off. Right? If you ideally want to show, you can turn it on. If you add data labels will be visible on all of this. Okay. So I know it's a lot of information condensed into a very small grid, but the advantage is that if you have a lot of space or if you want to communicate a lot of information and you want to do it through a small multiple chart, you can create something unique like this. Okay. Again, a feature particular or peculiar to Power BI itself. Right? It's called the small multiple visual. Small multiple visual. Please try this, everyone. Just complete this one, and then we'll do one last example, which is an AI visual in Power BI. Okay? It's an AI visual in Power BI. So we'll cover that as well as a last example. Now, today that we've covered these individual elements, tomorrow what we'll do is for the 2 hours that we work, we will create individual visuals but on a single page. So हम कल एक dashboard बनाएंगे. So by the end of it, we should have a single consolidated dashboard. ठीक है? And we'll not be building anything from scratch. I will have a few samples available that we can see from online और उसमें से हम कुछ recreate करेंगे. So we'll look at a very good sample in Power BI and we'll try to recreate it as closely as possible. Just complete the small multiples one and then we'll go to the next. A sip of water. I also want to show you a dashboard that I created for a client recently, और जो मैं आज जिस पे काम कर रहा था. ठीक है, so I'll show you that also, so that you get an understanding of what is the general workflow of working on a Power BI project, because you should have that sense as well. Remember to keep saving your file at different intervals in order to not lose out on your work. Okay, I hope you've done the small multiples. I wanted to create a new page now. Okay, and in this you can expand your filters pane. Come back on my screen. अगर आपने complete नहीं भी किया है पूरा, but you've understood how to set it up for now, that is enough. You can come to a new page and come back on my screen. When we go to insert, I have 4 AI visuals available to me: Q&A, key influencers, decomposition tree, and auto-generated written summary, narrative. I want to show you the first one, which is Q&A. Very cool. So this has been there for a very long time now, not anything that is very recent. It's been there for a few years. And I'm just going to... Okay, so here what happens is, I don't need to add any field in my Q&A visual. I can ask a question that shows me the result. For example, if I say total sales, it shows me the total sales. If I say sales, if I just say sales, it'll still show me the total sales. तो मुझे total word लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, but जो मैं fields को access कर रहा हूँ, यानी जिस fields का मैं नाम लिख रहा हूँ from my data, they have to be correct. Sales by region, it shows me the sales by region. If I say as a map, it'll show me to me as a map. Sales by region or sales by states अगर मैं करूँ for India, so it only shows me the states for India as a map, and it also shows me the rectification. तो उसने मैंने लिखा है sales by states for India as a map, but how it is understanding is state and total sale with country India as a map. Okay, so you might write it in some different format, but it will read it correctly. Okay, but the column names or the field names has to be correct. For example, I can have you can have a aggregation change also. So if I can say average profit across or by subcategory, so it'll show me the average profit by subcategory. Okay, there is one negative value, so it's showing it to me this way. Okay, if I say sales for tables as a percentage of total sales, so it shows me sales for tables. मतलब वो percentage नहीं calculate करता है, but सिर्फ tables का sale दिखा रहा है मेरे पास में, right? And if I just say sales for a specific visual, it will shows me sales for the, so tables is a field within the subcategory. Tables is a value within the subcategory field, and it can improve on top of that as well. So this is a AI visual available. You can try to add it, you can explore it. Okay, इसमें you can add it to your dashboard as well. As a final result, I can add it to my dashboard as well, so that when my users are using the dashboard, they have the ability to interact with the Q&A visual also. So they can ask questions and they can get responses generated inside the visual itself. Okay. For example, so if there is something that you have not created inside your dashboard and a user still wants a response to it, it can create that for you as well, right? So this can be a part of your dashboard. It is not something that is separate. It is a visual that you can add inside your dashboard itself. It is just an extra level of customization, an extra step that you take towards empowering the end user who is going to consume the information from the dashboard, right? So I just put total sale by order date and shows me the total sales by order date. Okay. So this is the Q&A visual. Okay. That brings me to the end of today's session. You can just try to insert this visual as well. Right? If you have any questions on anything that we've done so far, please let me know. Whatever we've covered is also mentioned in the notes. So the same level of detail is mentioned in the notes as well. There are certain things that are left, which I will cover tomorrow itself when we are creating the dashboard, right? But everything else is mentioned in the notes itself. So you can refer to the notes as well. You have videos on the YouTube channel that you can also refer to, and you have the recording which you can refer to if you want to come back and revisit any topic. You can try to do this for now. I'm just going to save my Power BI file, and I'm going to take any questions if you guys have them, right? If everything is clear so far, just put all clear in the chat, and then I'll stop the recording and then show you a few samples that I was talking about earlier. If everything is clear so far, just put all clear in the chat. Great. Thanks, Kashif. Thanks, Bilal. Who else should we have on call? There are two Bilals. Okay. Okay. So I hope you are going to go back. Yes. Is there someone who's saying something? Okay, great. So I'm going to save the file now. I'll be uploading this file also. Q&A visual, you can go back and practice, or we'll do it tomorrow as well. At least you have an overview of what are the basic features of formattings and options available with the visual in Power BI. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll culminate into a final dashboard. Okay, that is going to conclude this session. So I'm going to stop the recording for now and manage recording and stop recording. Thank you.